Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. Welcome if you are new. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Nicola and I'm an illustrator from Yorkshire in England, and this channel is all about growing my small business and projects and collections and behind the scenes basically on everything that I have going on. However, I do like to do the occasional tutorial or like helpful video, and this is one that I thought might be really useful and of some value to some fellow creatives out there, because creative block is real. We all know this. I'm sure most of us have been through this at some point. I've been through it a couple of times this year, once really badly where it genuinely like concerned me, and then again quite recently. So I just wanted to share a couple of things that helped me, just in case some of you maybe haven't thought about this. And yeah, if anybody else has any tips that I don't cover, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, because you never know how that might help somebody, you know, in the future. They might read your comment and that might be the thing that works for them. So please do, if you have any suggestions, that would be amazing. Okay, so I've made a list on my iPad and I'll start with my favourite one. Let's get into it. Okay, let's go with number one, audiobooks. Now, I know this might sound strange or like, what is she talking about? But this is truly what worked and helped me in the recent kind of speed bump that I had about a month or so ago. I think it was June time. When I'm in a slump and my brain just doesn't want to cooperate with creativity, the last thing I actually want to do is pick up a book, like a physical book. It's strange, I know, but my brain just cannot focus on anything creative, anything like that. However, I had a few audiobooks that I downloaded. My husband had some credits, so I just like downloaded them all, went on mass binge, and that really helped. Like, it didn't spark anything that I would make a collection on, and because it's just kind of like not in my brand. It's something I love, but it's not in my brand. Ninth House was the first one that I listened to, and excuse me, and oh my goodness, that book, the audiobook, is something else. It truly is. You kind of get hooked. But I feel like when it's an audiobook, because you've got like 50% of if you're watching a television show, your mind kind of works to picture the scenarios. I don't know the science behind this or whether it's an actual thing, but it truly helped. I think my brain was just stimulated into imagining what was happening in these like scenes, in these chapters and the things that were going on. It was a very dramatic book. Highly recommend if you're into like dark academia and sort of thriller, sorority, no, like society type books. It should come with trigger warnings. I'm sure there are some trigger warnings for certain things that go on in it. So do read them if you're gonna look at it. Highly recommend. But audiobooks above physical books, it was a revelation and it genuinely helped. Also, Audible always offer like free trials, free credits, deals. So it's definitely worth checking out, because I know that an extra like £8 a month can, you know, it's another outgoing and it adds up. But do check out the free trials, even if it's only one audiobook that you go for to get like your free book, your free credit. It could be worth a shot. Okay, this is a massive eye roll one, so I'm getting it out of the way early. Have a bit of a walk. I know, but I've noticed I get stuck in sit pits. I don't know if any of you guys do, but the sit pit is where hopes and dreams go to die, basically. And yeah, I just find it a massive struggle sometimes when I get stuck in that, unless I like throw myself out of my chair and go for a really short walk. Usually it's like the post office run. I'll do a quick post office run. It's a 10-minute round trip, but it just means that like I'm getting away from that seat. I'm getting away from being a zombie. Like your brain tends to, or my brain tends to go into like a zombie state, and yeah, that's not good. But just spending 10 minutes going for a quick walk, it tends to like clear the brain. I think it's endorphins. Yeah, again, I don't know the science behind it, but I hear people say like mental health walks, and unfortunately I think there's some validity in it. So just do a small bit of a walk. Okay, something that I am going to start doing. Actually, I did do it last year. I did a couple of them like last year, a couple of just Instagram posts, but I haven't really done it this year. Create something with no purpose, with no like end goal, just create. I suppose this works more for like illustrators or even authors, and you can just like write with no like stress about it being a product. Will it work as a product? For me, that's probably going to be characters. I spoke about it in, I think it was a couple of videos ago, 1 or 2 videos back. I spoke about being brave, and I also touched on what I've realised isn't working for me and my business, and that's characters. But I really enjoy drawing characters and cute things, and I think that's going to be my just because type thing. Yeah, so characters for me are going to be something that I just draw because it takes away the pressure, I think, of will this work, this has to be good, this has to be by this time and this date and this deadline, which I think we're all guilty of, particularly at this time of year. It is hard to think of things that will resonate with people, that they will love. And yeah, so try and just because things, you know, just because you enjoy drawing it, or you enjoy writing, or you enjoy like making a certain set of earrings that you might love to wear, and you never know, they might get the attention and people might love them and you might end up creating it as a product. But don't have an end goal, I would say. That definitely helped, and it becomes like a source of therapy. It becomes a creative outlet instead of, yeah, a product potential. Yeah. Okay, this next one is kind of linked to my last point in a roundabout way, and this came as a massive shock to me, I'll be honest. Oh, sorry about the light there. This one came as a massive shock to me, but sketching with a pencil. I know, I am a digital artist. I love my iPad with everything I have. However, earlier on in the year, this may have been around January, February, everything was just blocked. Everything was blocked, and I just started sketching in my notebook, the one where I make my like plan for the month, and scribbling and sketching, and just got my pencil out, and that really helped. It was amazing. I don't know how it helped, but I think it was probably to do with the pressure of picking up my iPad, knowing that's where I make my products, versus just a free and easy old school pencil on paper, just sketching. Like the noise of the pencil against the paper. There was just something about seeing a good old bit of lead on some paper that it felt therapeutic. And yeah, it actually helped. Now this came, like I said, this came as a massive shock to me, absolutely. But once I started, like I just couldn't stop sketching. The sketches weren't great. But also, I drew some characters. I was just thinking, I drew Ducky and Froggo as well when I was sketching with pencil. It really helped to get everything down and just out and just, yeah, I think you know what I'm saying. I hope. Okay, I have another one that is potentially a massive eye roll, but hear me out, because it helps. Stay away from socials for a few days to a week, 4 to 7 days. I did this recently, and I managed to start a book that I hadn't read, Pride and Prejudice. I felt like my brain had the capacity to reset, and I've noticed that my creativity gets so overwhelmed and my brain has so much going on in it when I'm doom scrolling on Instagram, let's say, because that's probably where I am the most, where I see the most things in my industry that resonate with me, but I also get huge comparison syndrome. And I think it's Les Brown that says comparison is the thief of joy, and he's so correct. When I'm on social media, and I didn't realise until I took a few days off a couple of weeks back, and not seeing anybody's posts about anything they were doing, any illustrations, any collections, anything, gave my brain space and time to breathe and think about things. And I was so inspired after watching the film Pride and Prejudice, after really thinking about my business and where I wanted it to go and embracing a slight shift, not a huge shift, but doing the things I love really helped, leaning into like my bookish love. And that was because I was away from social media. I was away from Instagram specifically, like I say, because Facebook I don't really use, and I absolutely do not use Twitter. And Pinterest I never really class as social media because it's not really social, although that can kind of come into the same batch for me as Instagram, because the moment I was back on to social media and I saw other people talking about their autumn collections and the things they were doing, I immediately, everything clammed up and I was like, I can't do what I wanted to do. Other people are doing a similar thing. Like creators that are much bigger than me are going to be doing something similar, so people are going to look at my stuff and it's not going to be good enough, or they're going to think I did it because that creator decided to do it. Do you know? But when you're off social media, you don't know about any of this, so you're free to just be inspired. And the second I came back on, yeah, comparison, fear, all of that kicked in, and I'm still kind of sat in that now, if I'm completely honest. I'm sat in that fear of the things that I wanted to release in a shop update. But the slight like downside of this is, for a lot of people, for a lot of creatives, social media helps the business. It helps boost it. If we're away from it, sales slow down. So I would say, if that's you, maybe prepare some posts, like have in your mind when you want to take that break, even if it's only a few days. The world won't end. But if you wanted to take like a week, maybe schedule some posts to go, like maybe two or three for every other day, so there's still like some action on there, and then yeah, your profile won't be sort of dormant for that long. It's definitely worth thinking about, and I think that really helped me, and I may do it again for a couple of days so I'm not looking at everybody's autumn collections and panicking. Okay, last, definitely not least, I don't really know what to call this one, so I'm going to call it journaling / brain dumping. Now, I'm kind of putting these in the same bracket because I am not a huge journaler. It's something I want to start. I don't really keep up. I'm not consistent with journaling, and a lot of people just don't want to journal, and that's understandable. That's absolutely fine. I do think there are massive benefits to journaling. I know in the past when I have been consistent with it, it sort of helped me mentally on a completely different scale rather than creative block. I think there's something called morning pages that's linked to, is it The Artist's Way? I may have got that wrong. If I've got it wrong, I'll pop it in to correct myself. And I think it's journaling 3 pages every day, just not really thinking about it, just like writing and just making sure you fill out 3 pages with what's going on in there. But like I say, a lot of people don't want to journal, or just don't like it, or they can't fit it in. So to those people, I would say, you are my people, and try brain dumping. Brain dumping is one of my favourite things to do, because when my brain feels like it's just closed in by the 4 walls, which it sometimes does in this room, I think this might be a me thing, don't know the science behind it, but I will get on the floor, push my chair out of the way, get on the floor, get a piece of card, a big A3 piece of paper. In fact, I mean, I'm not going to show you it properly, but this was my last brain dump. And just scribble all of the things that are in there. All of the things, because I'm guessing there's a lot of things in there that I think sometimes when I'm completely like creatively blocked, there's still a lot of things bouncing in there. But like, take for example a collection I've released. Let's say that I had all these ideas for the Wonderland collection and I was like, ooh, bag, ooh this, ooh that, but then I didn't know what to do for that. Like, okay, I want to do a bag, but what do I want to do with a bag? I don't know. So you might have the products that you want to do for a collection, and you might know a title of a collection, but that's it. Everything else is just so blocked, and it's so hard. So I like to sit on the floor with a big old piece of paper, because being on the desk just doesn't work, and scribble things, like anything that I've thought of at any point. So maybe a potential name of a collection, maybe a product, maybe a quote that came to me at some point, and just scribble and scribble and scribble and scribble some more. And if it takes a few days to do that, then just keep coming back to the brain dump. Anytime something pops up or pops in, run back and pop it on the brain dump. And it might be that there's just too much going on, which sounds a bit like contradictory, but sometimes I think when there's too much going on in the brain, it kind of has a negative effect, and it might seem like you have all these ideas, but when you come to actually thinking about doing the ideas, you've just got no idea what to actually do. That's certainly happened to me a couple of times. So I would suggest journaling, but if you're not really a journal person, big old piece of A3 paper, doesn't have to be special. I've just got the cheap general basic print paper. I just scroll all over it, and yeah, eventually it just kind of gets narrower and narrower and narrower, and then one day you can come back to it and you're like, oh, I know what to do now. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you try brain dumping. It's like my favourite thing to do. On the floor is amazing. Get yourself a snack down there, like a bottle of water, maybe not anything like a hot coffee, because if you tip that over, that won't be good. Yeah, sit on the floor, get comfy, and just like empty the brain out. Do let me know if you try that. And I have a bit of a, I don't know if it's controversial or not, it's kind of a bonus one, because again, quite recently, a couple of months back, this helped me. And when it's used in the right way, and I want to stress this, when it's used in the right way, I think ChatGPT is an amazing tool. So, utilise it. Sometimes, again, this is if you can't sort of get the brain dump thing out, but you have these things going on but you don't know what to do with them, ask ChatGPT, because it's kind of clever. Sometimes I will go onto it and I hope you can't hear that. Sorry, it's really stormy here today, and I've already had to close the window. Anyway, stop talking. There's been times I've put everything that's crammed into my brain and said to ChatGPT, please can you help unscramble my thoughts with me? Blah. I've dumped it all in to this non-human thing, and it's broken it down. And it's helped. And then once it's broken that down and it's made things slightly clearer, I'm like, oh, okay, can we talk about this? And this that you've said, like, how could we expand on this? Like, because sometimes it gets what you're trying to, it's just not coming out cohesively or coherently. And once something else is written clearly and it's not just noise, it can really help. And then go to your brain dump and scribble everything down. I really hope that these things help, because I think sometimes being a creative is an amazing thing, but I do think we're also very prone to things like burnout, comparison, just not feeling good enough. And I think not many people always understand unless you're in that position, unless you're a creative. And you're always comparing your previous self or yourself to your previous collection. And I think if you have a successful collection launch that sells things and has a really good launch night, then you're like, okay, well, how do I repeat that? Because I don't actually know what I did to repeat that. And what if my next collection is rubbish in comparison to that? And how do I make things that people will love, that are like that resonate like that? And if these steps can help anybody feel like they're not alone, because you're really not alone, and pop it in the comments if you like have anything that you want to say about being a creative, or again something that's helped you. That would be amazing, because my tips are only what might potentially help you, and one of them's a massive cliche. I mean, but it's a cliche for a reason. Like going on a bit of a walk, getting a bit of movement. I don't like to admit that works, but it does. And it is like the trend that, was it last year? Going on a stupid mental health walk for my stupid mental health or something, and it works. And some of these have really worked for me. I hope that this video helps somebody in some ways. And I know it's not a studio vlog this week for those that usually tune in for my studio vlogs, but again, I hope that you enjoy this. The studio vlog should be back next week, because this week I had a disaster with my printer anyway, so that was like 2 days out. But I will be back next week with studio vlogs. But if you have enjoyed this and you've got this far, please consider subscribing, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm, unfortunately, but it might push this to somebody else that really needs to hear one of these that they've never even thought of before. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching if you've got this far. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully next week. Bye.